Hello members, I am Mohammad Nizam Ali from Lahore, Assistant Member Affairs, MISA region. Today we are all with Prasanna Balachandra. He is an ACCA and a grade ERM. He'll be conducting the session post-COVID-19 risk and responses ERM and ERP approach. So a little about Prasanna Balachandra. He is the Chief Risk Control Officer of Hemas Holding PLC, responsible for enterprise risk management and internal audit. He has rolled out risk management process in various entities and industries such as telecommunication, hospitals, hotels, logistics, FMGC, pharmaceuticals, and IT. He has assisted the businesses in identifying risks and escalating them to board level. Further, he has rolled out a risk-based internal audit approach, which has helped to uplift the quality of the internal audits performed. He has over 10 years of managerial experience in the fields of risk management and internal audits. His past experiences come from Maruti Software, PwC, Brandex, and Dialog Existia. Prasanna is a graduate member of Institute of Risk Management of UK in Sri Lanka. He is an alumni of Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, where he obtained certification in General Business Management. He is an associate of ACCA UK and past finalized of ICMA Sri Lanka. Currently, he is reading for doctorate and at Universidad Aldersgate, Philippines, where his research focuses on the link between risk management and innovation. Prasanna is a lecturer as well, tutoring for professional qualifications such as ACA and ACCA, and visiting lecturer for master's level program conducted by the Universidad Aldersgate and University of Sri Jagadharanpura. His specializations include business analysis, risk management, internal audit, external audit, and corporate governance. Prasanna is a governor of Institute of Internal Auditors, Sri Lanka chapter. He has spoken in subjects of internal audit, risk management at many forums at national level. His areas of expertise are enterprise risk management, internal auditing, business continuity planning, internal auditing, corporate governance, and business analysis. So for moving on, I'll ask Prasanna to take over this session. Prasanna, over to you.
Thank you, Nizam, for the introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. So today we are going to discuss about something relevant for today's context. That is basically the problems what we face because of COVID-19. 2 months back, the world was not like this. Our cities were not like this. Our life was much better. I'm not sure about most of you, but for me, I have not gone out of my house. Okay, I have gone. Rarely I have gone out, but mostly I'm trapped in my house for almost 1 month, 1.5 months. If you have asked me in the month of January, will it happen to me? I would have said no, it will not happen. So basically, we are very bad in predicting stuff. Our predictions, our plans, and all generally doesn't go right. There was some research done. How much is the planning accuracy, right, by Professor Nazim Talib, and what he identified was like it was roughly 50-60% is where the planning is accurate, or planning become a reality. Generally, plans doesn't become reality. Generally, there are changes, there are we don't achieve what we intend to achieve. So from there only, the discussion regarding the risk management starts. So if you take an organization, now to tell about risk management, generally we focus on our goals, our targets. We normally think what we are supposed to do in order to achieve our targets. We normally think what we are supposed to do in order to realize our goals. But most of the time, we don't take one step back and start thinking why we may not be able to achieve this goal, why we may not be able to achieve this target. We may not think from that perspective. The risk management is about creating a culture, creating a mechanism where people start looking at things in a little bit negative way. Can this fail? What are the possibilities of my plans failing? What are the possibilities of I'm not achieving my budget? If I don't achieve my budget, if I don't achieve my plan, what am I supposed to do? What are the plan A, plan B, plan C I'm supposed to have? So it's not easy. It may sound like an easy thing to hear, but in order to do, especially when the businesses focus on efficiency and cost cutting, it's very difficult to develop these plan C, A, B, C, and D and all, right? Plan B, plan C, it's very difficult. So why our plans, why our expected future sometimes do not materialize? So I'll quote from Professor Talib again. This is one of the main reasons is because of something called black swan, right? So the black swan, right? How he coined this term black swan. People never believed there is something called. People never believed there is something called black swan existed. Everybody thought swan is white, until one day when a person identified that there is something called, a person discovered a black swan. So when he identified the black swan, only people started realizing, okay, there are unknown stuff. There is something called black swan. So Professor identified this case, and he coined the term black swan for things which are unexpected, things which happen in an unexpected manner, unplanned things. So suddenly, now we are working from here, and suddenly something unexpected, unplanned happened. That's called black swan. 9/11, the US 9/11 attacks is a black swan. The financial crisis of 2008 for most of the economists is a black swan event. A black swan event in terms of risk management is basically an event which we have not planned, which we have not planned for, which we have not thought about, is what we call a black swan event. So is this COVID-19, whatever we are facing right now, is it a black swan event? Is it something which we have not imagined? Is it something which we have not thought it will happen in this world one day? Let's try to find out from the professor's words itself. So clearly it is not a black swan event, right? That's what it is. Because human race, this is not the first time. Many times it has happened in our lives, in our human as humans. We have many times we have experienced this problem. We had Ebola. In 1920s, we had the Spanish viral flu, which destroyed the economy. Did we make films about the pandemic situations? Did we make films about the viruses spreading in the world and killing humans? Yes, enough movies we made. So whatever you see in the screen is Contagion and World War Z, where a virus make people zombies. So we have made films about it. More than that, every year, if you look at the World Economic Forum report, each year the potential impact of infectious disease had been identified as one of the top 10 risks. I'll show you the evidence for that. So this is the extract from Global Risk Report published by World Economic Forum. So if you look at that, somewhere here, I hope you can see here, it has been identified as a risk. It has been identified as a risk, infectious disease. Not only in 2020, it has been identified in 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016. It has been continuously identified as one of the risks the whole humans may face one day. So it's not something which happened without without we expecting that. We knew one day it might happen. We have made movies about it. We have gone to the movies and we have enjoyed those movies about these diseases, right? The outbreak and how humans dying and all. We have seen movies. We have spoken about it. Even in the risk management classes or in the risk management workshops. Identify risk, the global risk what you might face. Somebody will definitely identify possibility of an infectious disease spreading in the around the globe. People have identified it. It's a risk. In risk management, we don't call this type of risk as black swan event or black swan risk. These are called gray rhino risks or gray rhino events. Highly probable, high impact, and yet neglected threat is what you call gray rhino. So another author, Michelle Butcher, right? So Michelle Booker, she basically developed the term gray rhino. So in her book, she gave this small scenario. Just imagine a group of friends who are walking, who went on an African safari in order to enjoy some wilderness. One of them wanted to take a picture of a baby rhino. They told a guide who is taking the group into the jungle that they want to take the picture of the baby rhino. The guide told it's dangerous because we have to go deep into the jungle, so it can be dangerous. The group of friends told, no problem, let's go. The guide took them, and the guide further told, look, there may be a mother rhino, there may be a father rhino. If they see you guys are playing with the baby rhino, they can get furious. The friends told, don't worry, you won't go too near. We'll take picture from a little bit far away and we'll come back. Guide took them to the middle of the jungle, right? And they went close to the jungle, middle of the jungle, and in somewhere in the river, they saw a beautiful small baby rhino. They tried to take a picture, but unfortunately, the baby rhino was looking other side. So this one friend was trying to take a picture. Other friend who tried to attract the attention of the baby rhino put a stone on the baby rhino, right? A small stone. Baby rhino looked this side, and they took the nice photo. But unfortunately, because of the sound of the stone, the mother rhino, which is having her food somewhere close by, she also looked at the people and the cub, and she understood. She is far away rather than the humans from her baby, and she got furious, and she's looked at them and what these guys are doing, and he thought some danger is happening. He also jumped into the party. he also started charging towards this what you call the photographers. Now the photographers do not have an option. They are now facing two rhinos coming towards them, right? And they had to anyhow escape. They had to run zigzag or whatever, and they had to escape. So whether they escaped or not is not our problem. Our problem is the rhinos what we face. So in our life, do we face rhinos? Yes, we face a lot of grey rhinos in our life also. We know they are there, but we ignore them. We don't take action on them, right? I'll tell you two examples. In one of the company I worked for, we identified it was a travel company, so they were operating taxi services. So somewhere in 2014 or 15, we heard a news like Uber, something called Uber had been invented in US, and that was identified as a key risk, and we presented to the board saying it's a risk. Nobody took any action. They said, no, it's in US, it's not in Ceylon, it's not in Sri Lanka, so it won't affect. Later, we saw a local company also doing the similar service in Sri Lanka. Sorry, before that, the Uber moved to Sri Lanka. At that time, also the company did not take adequate action. They said, no, we are in a different market. We are providing luxury cab service to the tourists, so this Uber will not be a threat to us. Then the local company also started providing the service, and at that time only the company realized they are losing revenue. Their numbers are coming down. Like more tourists who are coming into Sri Lanka are coming with the Uber app itself, and they are booking that from the airport, and they are going wherever they want. By the time it was somewhere around 2017 and 18, it was too late for the company to take any action to react or fight. In 2014, if they have taken that as a serious threat, they may have spoken to Uber and brought Uber to the country directly, which they failed to do so. So it's a grey line. You can't say Uber for that company. Uber was a black swan. No, it was coming for last 2-3 years, and the company did not take appropriate action. Another example I can give you is artificial intelligence. All of us use AI today. We use Siri to schedule our appointments. We have Cortana on our laptops. We have OK Google. So, and we see our apps know better than us. Sometimes when you walk in a street, it happens to me always. When I walk in a street, one of my app called TripAdvisor, it always gives me a notification. Prasanna, in this particular street, in this particular shop, the crab curry would be tasty. Yeah, because it knows I know I love crab curry, and it knows in that location there is the crab curry is available. So it gives me alert like that. So my phone, my apps, what I use, the systems I use, they know better than me. They are intelligent, right? It's a matter of years where the scientists or the computer programmers develop artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence escaping into the wild of internet, and that can create a much bigger threat to the world. But still, we like to make movies about it, we like to talk about it, but we don't take action. Are there other grey rhinos what we are facing? So much of grey rhinos we are facing. So look at the same report, the report by World Economic Forum, which is listing down so much of grey rhinos for us to take action. Climate action failure, right? So we are getting hotter and hotter every day, and our oceans, sorry, the icebergs are melting. Oceans are coming into the land. We are losing land, and the rain patterns are changing, and all the climate the actions what we are taking to protect our climate, our environment, is not giving us enough result. But as a country, as a organization, as a business, as an individual, what are we doing about it? We don't do anything, because this is not our problem, someone else's problem. It's not my problem. Water crisis. Day by day, if you look at many of the the reports published by World Economic Forum Economic Forum and the disaster monitoring centers. I'm not sure about many countries, but I'm pretty sure in South Asia, the whole South Asia, water is going to be a big problem. Our villages are drying, our lakes are running out of water. Yeah, we hear this as a country, as a organization, as an individual. Are we doing anything about it? No, we don't, because it's a gray line. It's not going to affect me tomorrow. It's something which may affect me after 5 years. So I don't have to worry about that too much. That's what my thinking right now. Extreme weather, environmental disaster, weapons of mass destruction, food crisis. I'm not bothered about all these long-term risks because they will not hit me immediately. But remember, if it hits you, if it starts hitting you, it's like 2-3 rhinos charging towards you, right? You spot the rhino, you saw the rhino, you don't do anything, you just walk closer and closer to that. It starts charging towards you. There's no returning back thereafter. You have to anyhow manage or live with the rhino. So if you can see the screen there, like you can see what is the three or 2 birds and 1 animal, which I'm showing in a risk to show where these animals belongs to, or the birds belongs to. If you look at the black swan is a high impact, low probability event, which is generally not predicted. Generally, we don't talk about it because it is not going to happen. So we don't do much to manage it also. Now, for example, for possibility of meteorite hitting our world, right? You can identify conceptually it as a risk, but again, you don't know when it will hit, where it will hit, how long. We don't know anything about it. There's nothing in the vicinity, right? So if that happens tomorrow, suddenly a solar storm tomorrow, which we can't even predict, we can't even plan. If that happens tomorrow, that is more of a black swan risk. For a black swan risk, what we can do, right? What we are supposed to do, or what we can do about black swan risk is, it's about increasing the slack, right? Which is, most of the businesses will not agree with me because it's not practical. If you start increasing slack, what happens is your efficiency comes down. So it's like, for example, if you want to survive a black swan event, you have to have a duplicate of your operation. You have 2 warehouses, 2 locations. Then if one location get affected, not a problem, you can come out of it. So when it comes to black swan events, there's nothing much we can do. We have to accept it may happen one day, and we have to create slacks as much as possible and see, like, it will kill your efficiency, but that's a insurance you are taking against the black swan event. White swan events are the events which normally we address, right? So what we do is we basically identify them because it's highly probable, and the impact is less, but anyhow we identify, we manage it normally, the white swan. So today's session is not about the black swan, how to manage or how to tame a black swan. It's not about identifying a white swan and how to manage it. Those are different. It's more about the gray rhinos which we ignore. A gray rhino, it's not like a black swan. We know it's there. We know it's coming towards us, and yet we ignore them. That's what we call a gray rhino. So if I just show you the previous slide. So all these risks, what you see, all of us know these risks are there. All of us know sometime these risks can materialize, but yet we don't do much about these kind of risks. So why we know there are gray rhinos. We know there are problems. We know there are gray rhinos, but why do we ignore them? Why don't we take appropriate action? Right? Because of 3 reasons. We normally pay attention to what we want to achieve. We don't pay much attention what we really know about it, right? In another way, we normally focus on my goal. Okay, I want to achieve this. I want to anyhow be successful. I want to go to the market. I want to capture a 15-20% market share. What in my mind, but I don't focus on what we know. Okay, what are the problems? So as I told earlier, we humans, we are more optimistic, right? We look at the positive side, we look at our opportunity, we look at the gain what we can get, and we focus on that more than looking at the negative side of it. What if it goes wrong? What is my plan B? What is the possibility of it going wrong? If it goes wrong, what am I supposed to do? What is my exit strategy? Right? Many organizations do, but still handful of organizations do not have exit strategies and plan Bs. What to do if things go wrong? They don't have. Always they think on the positive side. That is one reason why the gray rhinos are basically, even though they are identified, they are ignored. Number two is denial, right? It will not happen to me, right? So now, for example, if I ask you a question, what is the possibility of you getting affected by COVID-19, a COVID-19 infection happening to you, right? I am pretty sure most of us will say 95% we are pretty sure that we will not get affected by it, right? That's what we call denial. Denial is a human nature. It won't happen to me. Death, we see death happening everywhere, but do we plan for our death? No, it won't happen to me, right? We always add it will happen to the next country, but not to my country. Until it really start happening, we will not start reacting on that. The denial is a first phase of a typical response to a threat. It won't happen here. So because of this denial mentality also, we don't take action on our black swans. Sorry, the gray rhinos, right? The climate change becoming hotter, and will I get melt because it's getting hotter and hotter? No, it won't happen. I don't have to take action on that. But one day when it starts happening, it may be too late. So that's a second reason. And the third reason, we have never experienced a gray rhino. But say, for example, if you take the world has many times the humans have gone through the diseases or disease outbreak infections, but luckily our generations, right, the generations which are current, most of the people who are living in the today's world, they have not experienced a global pandemic like this after 1920, exactly 100 years ago, before the Spanish flu. I mean, after the Spanish flu, we never had such a big outbreak. So we don't know what to do. We don't know. We are not prepared. We are not planned for it because we have never experienced it. Now, for example, in 2009, countries like Sri Lanka and most of the states, western states of India, Bangladesh, all get affected by tsunami. So people, since they affected, and people are prepared for second, third tsunami. Like one more thing, like I would say, about Bangladesh. I travel to Bangladesh frequently on office work. So what I have seen is the amount of floods and the natural disaster happens in the country is very high. The impact also very high. But people, because it's happened again and again and again, the people are used to it. People know how to survive. People know how to live out of that disaster. If I look at Sri Lanka, 2016 and 17, we had a rain here, a big rain happening here. It just rained and some landslides, and we lost 100 lives. And next year also it happened, and we lost another 75 odd lives. And thereafter we tried to manage it. So we have never experienced a gray rhino. So when we have not experienced a gray rhino, when we are denying that it will not happen to me, and when we are always optimistic that we will focus on what we want to achieve rather than what actually we know, what are the risks, then it becomes quite difficult to go and spot gray rhinos. So Michelle Booker, she explains what to do with gray rhinos, what you are supposed to do, what organizations should do. So actually I'm going to link up enterprise risk management framework into Michelle Booker's strategies to manage gray rhino. So I'll explain the gray rhinos. Number one, recognize it's a rhino, right? You see a problem in the future and you see it can happen. Recognize that properly, define the rhino properly, how it's going to affect you. Now, climate change in a 10 years time, can it affect? Now, if I say climate change, is it a big risk for your organization? If you are running a food manufacturing or food company or a farming organization, is a climate change is a big risk for you? Not weather, climate change, right? Weather is short term, the climate is long term. Is it a big risk? Should I act right now? You say no, I don't have to. But will it hit you in a 10 years time? Yes. Then start acting right now. Don't wait for 10 years. When after 10 years we may not have resources or mechanism to tame this rhino, to come out of the problem. Define the rhino, right? So how it will affect your organization. Don't stand still. Do something, right? Many organizations don't like to do things. You know why? It's expensive. If I ask you, like, I can link up to one more theory. The managers generally have short-term vision, but whereas the shareholders have long-term vision. So say I'm a manager who is joining a company, right? My vision is only 3-4 years actually, right? The reason is I'm joining a company, I'll work there for 2-3 years and I'll find a new company and I'll move. So if you make me sit and think about in a 10 years time what is going to happen in this company, I'm not interested, because most probably I will not be part of this organization in a 10 years time. So I'm I'm rewarded for short-term benefit, short-term achievements, and I'm more focused on short. So if you talk about climate change, our hotel should get ready or a farm should get ready, and if I'm a paid manager, it's not going to give me a bonus. It's going to make me spend more money. It's an investment for it's an investment after 10 years. So why should I do right now? Let after 10 years whoever manages business to do it. So I may not do things. I may not get prepared for a problem which is going to affect me in a 10 years time. So that's the other reason. But if you look at a shareholder, if you ask from a shareholder, hey, in a 10 years time your business might suffer, would you like to do something? The shareholder may be interested, the owner may be interested, right? I'm not saying all the managers are same, but some of us, or maybe majority of us are like that. The other one is, in case if you see a crisis, right? A crisis is a terrible thing to waste. What do you mean by that? By any chance, if you go through a crisis, right? Because climate change is something which will not bring a grand crisis immediately. It may bring crisis step by step. So if you go through a crisis, do not waste your crisis. Make use of your crisis to prepare your company to face a much bigger problem. In 19th century, Chicago got burned because of some fire. The entire Chicago, the city was burned, right? And then the Chicago people took it as an opportunity. It's a crisis, but they took it as an opportunity. This is the great opportunity for us to build the best city in the whole world. So they built Chicago. At that particular time, that was one of the best city in the whole world. So they built it. So and maybe still whatever I'm going to say next, still a lot of research needed. We don't know the reasons or anything like that. But what they say is, even though the whole world is facing a big outbreak of COVID-19, which actually originated from China. The neighbor country of China, which is Vietnam, is having only, last time when I checked, it has only 260 or 300 cases and no death, because they know, they prepared earlier when the SARS and all happened in that country. They prepared, they know what to do. Like Sri Lankans, we know for a tsunami, if there's a tsunami warning comes, where to run. Maybe 5 years ago now, I'm not sure about today, but we know where to run, how to run. But the Vietnamese, they know what to do, and they protected the whole country from the disaster. Still, any prediction regarding COVID-19 is may not be reliable, because still we are a long way to go to understand what is this COVID-19, how it's going to affect human health as well as our wealth. So, by any chance, if you come across a crisis, do not waste it. Do not use it to the maximum to get the best out of it. Say, take this COVID-19. All of you are at home, right? Many people predict this may continue for 2-3 months. You may have to start working maybe on a rosters. I don't know about other countries, like in Sri Lanka, we are 1.5 months, we are in curfew. And maybe next week we'll be allowed to go to our offices on 1/3. Only a roster can go to office, like 1/3 of the office can resume work. The other thing is public transport, restaurants, everything will be kept closed for the foreseeable future. Now, this is a crisis, but is it an opportunity as well? It's a huge opportunity for the right people, right? So there are some people with the mentality who make the best out of the crisis. So the Michelle was telling the same thing. Like, if you see a crisis, make best out of it. It's a good time for you to start your online business. It's a good time for you to complete your doctorate or researches, whatever you have started, to complete them. It's a good time to spend a good amount of time with your family, who has been always complaining you guys are out and you are leaving home at 9 o'clock and coming back only after 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. It's a good time to stay with your family, right? Enjoy. So get the best out of the crisis. Stay downwind. Downwind means continuously look out for gray rhinos, right? Do not keep your horizon open. What are the new things which are coming up? How to plan for it? What we should do about it? Continuously have a mechanism for that. That's what she's telling. And become a rhino spotter and becoming a rhino keeper. You are the one who identify these gray rhinos which are happening, which are happening in the future, which are going to happen in the future. And when it starts happening, see, the gray rhino may not happen immediately. It comes step by step. Even this COVID-19, it's not something happened immediately, like the spread started, but we knew that from December onwards, we knew that there's a disease spreading, but many countries did not take necessary action to curtail them on time. So if you become a great rhino spotter, a person who identifies these long-term risks and a person who take appropriate actions on time, so when the risks start to materialize, the profit or the business prosperity increases. So in other words, it's going to continue. It's not going to be a one-off thing, right? Turbulence is a new normal. Now, what I have put here is a Sri Lankan crisis. In 2016, we had flooding. 17, we had flooding and fuel crisis. We could not operate for 1 month there. We had a constitutional crisis. We could not operate for another month. In 2019, we had a Easter attack, and then that is basically, you guys may have heard about it. We were unable to open our offices for another 2 or 3 weeks, and now we have COVID-19 outbreak. We don't know what is there in 2011, what is there in 2012. The turbulence, because the world is so connected, right? The turbulence have become the new normal. There are a lot of humans, everybody is connected. So if something happens in US, it's going to affect us. Sometime back, I think 2016 or 17 again, when there was a rain in Thailand, I saw the newspaper and I thought, rain in Thailand, how it will affect Sri Lanka. And in a 2 months time, my IT department was telling me, look, we can't place orders for the laptops because some of the Thailand factories got flooded. They are the only factories, they make a particular chip or something. As a result, they can't make the laptops. Therefore, there's a shortage for laptops. So world is so connected, right? So turbulence is going to be the new normal. Therefore, get prepared. So these are the few other gray rhinos which we can face in 2020 itself. Like the two gray rhinos which are charging us is, one is COVID-19 is already charging us, and followed by one more much bigger gray rhino, that is financial and economic crisis. Now the financial and economic crisis is very close to us. We are faced with us at this moment, so we have to do something about it. It's becoming a firefighting exercise rather than a risk management exercise. Emergence of online life is a gray rhino, because most of us are getting the comfort of online ordering. I place order right now for my grocery. The grocery is delivered to my doorstep. So in the future, am I going to go to a supermarket? Maybe, but the frequency of me going to a supermarket is going to come down. The business schools are conducting lectures online, and students are staying at home having popcorn and watching lectures, right? And they are in a so relaxed environment. They don't have to take the buses, they don't have to take the trains, they don't have to get ready, they don't have to put perfume, makeup, nothing. They just come to classes from their beds. So it's an online life for them. Are they going to forget about the online life once the pandemic is over? No. So it's a gray rhino. Many businesses may have to relook at their distribution models. Another gray rhino, possibility of one more pandemic along with this affecting us, right? So UK, there was a problem, some babies got affected. Now they are still doing some researches whether it's going to be a pandemic or not. In Sri Lanka, there's a possibility of a mosquito disease called dengue outbreak. Another gray rhino may be the potential third world war. If China and US and Europe, if they start this blame game, and if they start blaming each other continuously, there can be a potential third world war or something similar to that, which can affect all our countries. So right. So the objective of enterprise risk management is making your organization this, whatever you are seeing right now in the screen. This is what we call Hydra. Okay. So the Professor Nazim Talib, he explained one more theory, right? He explained one more theory called he wrote one more book on one more theory called anti-fragile. The anti-fragile is like this. Now, for example, you see, I have a glass here, right? If I drop this glass on the floor, what will happen to this glass? It will break, because this is fragile. It will just break. What if I can find the substance? If I drop, it will become strong, right? If I try to break it, it becomes strong. It becomes bigger. It becomes more powerful. That's what we call anti-fragile, the opposite of fragile. So I use normally the Greek mythology creature Hydra to explain you what is anti-fragile, right? It's a water monster which has multiple heads, and it loves to go to war. So what does it do is, it just go to war because it like to get cut. So if you go and cut one of the head of this monster, it will get two heads, right? So it likes to go to war because if it goes to war and somebody comes and cut its head, it gets two heads, three heads, four heads. Like that, it grows and grows. So in the war, in the danger, in the uncertainty, it grows bigger and bigger, stronger and better. That's what you call the animal. That's what this animal called Hydra. So the Hydra is a is a Greek mythology creature. Can you make your organization into a hydra? Can you make your organization anti-fragile? Can you make your organization which grow when there's a problem? You face COVID-19, you're happy because after COVID-19, your revenue doubled, your profitability doubled. You face an earthquake, no problem. Your revenue went down. You faced a say a artificial intelligence problem, no problem. You became much bigger. You became much stronger. Okay, so I'll just check my internet connection. Okay, hope I'm back now.
Yes, good to go. Thank you.
Okay. Fine. So, can you make your organization a hydra or anti-fragile, which becomes bigger, stronger, better whenever there is a problem? So, the approach which I'm going to take you through next is about converting your organization into a hydra. Right? Remember, becoming anti-fragile is a journey. Now, since I work in a particular organization, if you ask me a question, is my organization is anti-fragile? No, but it's in a journey to become anti-fragile. If you ask me how long it will take, I don't have an answer because it's a culture. It's a culture of it's a culture of risk management. The culture of having a risk management, the culture of always predicting the risk, identifying them on time, and taking steps to manage it, that will make the organization anti-fragile. So risk management is a coordinated activities which are used to identify the risk in advance and take appropriate actions to mitigate it. The enterprise risk management, when the whole organization, whole enterprise is continuously looking at the key risks the organization is facing and taking actions to mitigate, that's called enterprise risk management, right? So you can read about these things in many what do you call books and the magazines and all. So basically it's a mechanism where an organization, or it's a culture where an organization identifies, assess and respond to a particular risk. So ERM, can it provide lifeline to a business? Yes, much earlier you can anticipate the risk and you can take appropriate action. So if something goes wrong, you are well prepared. Even though your competitor is affected, you are not affected. It will help to identify and pursue existing new opportunities. Okay, always the risk and opportunity are two sides of one coin. If you see it as a risk, on the other side there's an opportunity also. So the enterprise risk management, even though it makes you look at the negative side, the risk, it encourages to look at risk as an opportunity also. Actually, nowadays there's a different discipline called opportunity management is getting developed. It helps to understand the deviation on time and take appropriate action. Right? I will tell you two examples there. Good examples of good risk management. Now, don't ask me what happened in Nokia right now, but when the Nokia in its earlier the Swedish company called Ericsson was the #1 in the phones, the mobile phones. Nokia was #2. Both companies used to source some chips from a factory in New Mexico, and that factory got burned by a fire. Nokia had better risk management practices. So within 1 or 2 days, they got to know the New Mexican factory is not responding properly. They are not giving the answers properly. Something going wrong. And they send their executives to New Mexican factory to see what has gone wrong. They identified a fire has destroyed half of the factory. Nokia put the order, and they basically secured all the orders, right? So Ericsson took more days to identify the problem. So when they identified the problem and when they went to New Mexico, by the time Nokia has placed all the orders, so could not cope up with Nokia. After that, Ericsson was unable to put a single unit for 3 or 6 months. That 6 months was more than enough to Nokia to capture the market share, and Nokia became the #1 mobile phone provider in the world. Say for example, the organizations I work for, I told them, like, so in the month of December, when we identified in the January board meetings itself, the COVID-19 had been identified as a risk, so asked to stack up as much as possible, right, until at least for 6 months. So many organizations in the group started buying and storing for at least 6 months to get prepared, so which later helped us a lot. So if you have good ERM practices, it will help you to get prepared for a risk and in advance. So those are a few advantages of ERM. So I will take you through the standard which helps to implement ERM framework. Right now, if you look at the slide there, I'm going to talk about a standard called ISO 31000. Right? There are other standards. COSO ERM framework, integrated risk management framework is there. Australian, New Zealand standards are there. So you can use whatever standard you want. This is ISO 31000. That's what I'm going to explain. You can make your organization ISO 31000 compliant with, or you can make your department ISO 31000 compliant, right? So just like you guys know about ISO and other quality standards, right? It's about taking an operation and implementing certain things and making sure it's ISO compliance. Similarly, can we make our departments ISO 31000 compliant with? Can we make our SBUs or the group or the businesses ISO 31000 compliant with? That's a question. That's how you have to look at it. Unfortunately, still ISO 31000 is not a certification standard. So ISO, you will not get ISO 31000 certified, but of course there are the ISO 31000 auditors who will come and audit and give you a recommendation, or they might tell you how far you are complying with ISO 31000 or what's the problem. You can do it for your department, you can do it for your business or anything. My suggestion, my approach would be always start from the top. It's easy, right? Make sure your head office, the board, understands the importance of the risk management. Make sure they are implementing ISO 31000 there. Once they implement there, coming down is easy. So one approach is that starting from the top and coming down step by step is much easier, believe me, because all the business leaders understand the need for risk management. Then when you come down, it's becoming easier rather than trying to push a concept from bottom to top. The other approach is identify in your business, like if you are running a business, in your business, all the departments may not be extremely risky, right? For example, I know finance departments can be much riskier, but let's assume compared to a medical manufacturing plant, the finance department may not be that riskier. So implement ERM in ISO 31000 in the medical management plant, and then reap the benefit of it, and then pass it to other departments. So that is one more way you can implement ISO 31000. So ISO 31000 is based on 3 things: principles, framework, and process. So this is only a 1 hour webinar, so I don't have and ISO 31000 can be a 1 or 2, or it can be a 3 to 6 months course. So I'm not in a position to teach everything here, but in terms of principles, if you are going to implement ERM in your organization, understand few things. It has to be dynamic. You have to conduct ERM risk management exercises frequently, right? You can't just sit and do a risk management exercise once a year and say you are ISO 31000 compliant. No. Don't ask me to give you a frequency. What's the best frequency? That depends on your operation. If I take my experience, my organization, we do once in 3 months a full exercise, but there are some departments, some functions where we do much frequently. Understand one more thing, it has to be customized. I'll give you only a few examples. So ERM practice, what I apply at hotels, I can't take it and apply to a hospital. Even a practice which I apply in one hospital, I can't take and just simply apply in one more hospital, right? It's something which has to be developed from the organization itself, because ERM is more towards your culture, right? It's about modifying, it's about improving your culture. It's not just a process. It's not about coming and implementing a process and certifying you and going. No, it's a culture, it's a journey. That's the reason why ISO 31000 is still not a certification standard. Then it has to be, say, yeah, so you have to have the information available. We have to consider human and what you call cultural factors. So those are two things. And the framework. The framework is the base for the process what we are supposed to apply in an organization. So the framework covers integration, design, implementation, evaluation, and improvement. So continuously, you have to design your ERM framework. You have to implement that properly. You have to continuously evaluate, improve. So it has to be a continuous process, right? So that's what the framework says. And here we come, the process. So I'm going to take some time to discuss about this particular process. What is this scope and context? What is risk assessment? What is risk treatment and all? So in my slides, I have given you a lot of information, so you guys can read. And if you all have any questions, you can always ask me. Like, I have given you an email address, so you can send an email there. So let's go through the process first. So the process have few components: scope, context, and criteria. We'll start with that. We'll start with communication and consultation, scope, context, and criteria, reporting, monitoring, and review, and in the middle we have risk assessment and risk treatment. So how you are supposed to approach this is, your department should have all these, right? I'll take a simple example of a finance department, how to apply this in a finance department. And why this is important is, remember people, after COVID-19 and after the financial crisis which is going to follow, the economic crisis and the economic depression which is going to follow the COVID-19, the world is going to be a completely new place, right? So the traditional functions, the traditional internal audit function, the traditional finance functions may not survive. I don't know, maybe may not. Some of the traditional businesses may not survive. So this is the best time to make your organization to look at continuously what are the changes happening in the environment, and start a way of the managing of the way the changing your business practices a process. It has to it's the best time. It's the best time to convert your department, convert your business. So in a nutshell, before going into details, like if I take a finance department, number one, communication and consultation. If you are the leader of the finance department, and if you have 30-40 people working under you, what is your goal of the finance department? What are the supporting roles finance department plays in the organization? What is the connection between the business strategy and the role played by the finance department? All has to be properly, clearly documented and communicated to all the staff, right? So if the people don't know in what environment they are working, for why they are working, you can't expect them to identify the gray rhinos and tell you. So the communication and consultation part is very important. The leaders should be more open to the teams, and they have to consult, advise the teams, and the teams should be know, okay, this is what my leader is expecting. This is where my organization, my department is in the organization. I'm explaining only from a department perspective. You can apply for the whole organization also. This, Then based on that, you decide your scope, context, and criteria. So what are the external factors we are facing? What are the internal factors, internal problems we are facing? What are the criteria? When it comes to criteria, there's a big one important term called risk appetite. So what I'm going to do, what I'm not supposed to do here, all need to be clearly defined. Then the risk assessment part, the teams should be able to identify the risk. There should be a ways to identify risk. We'll talk about that. And there should be risk analysis happening, and there should be risk evaluation, because we can't focus on all the risk. We can't focus on all the risk and start mitigating them. So we have to have a good risk evaluation mechanism. So the financial risk, or the risk what we face as a finance department, continuously need to be evaluated, continuously need to be what you call identified and responded. That's coming under risk treatment. And the recording and reporting. The key risk, whatever you are identifying in the company, need to be reported to your bosses, to the board. Somewhere it has to be reported, and they also should know, okay, fine, these are the key risks we have to focus, right? And monitoring and reviewing also need to happen, by whether you are applying the correct ERM practice or not, need to be continuously monitored. So communication and consultation, as I explained earlier, it's about identifying the what are the policies of the organization, what are the policies of the department, that has to be clearly communicated. So if you go to factories, you see a lot of better communication and consultation. I walk into a factories, normally I know the factory productivity because there are big boards which are showing the factory productivity. The goal sheet is there, goal will be there somewhere, the mission statement will be there somewhere. What is accepted practice, what is not accepted practice, everything will be documented. All of them will be in the walls of the factory. So as a when I walk in, I know, right, this generally for a factory, I know, okay, this is what the factory is up to, this is what they are doing, this is what they can't do, this is their productivity level. If I walk into a finance department or a back office function, do I know that? Generally, I mean, there may be, you guys may be working for much better back office functions, but as far as I know, like, we don't know what the hell back office functions are doing even, right? Because, and if you ask the back office function person, like, what is the organization's goal, what they are trying to do, what they are trying to achieve, they may not even know. There's a very bad communication of policies, vision, mission statements is there, very bad consultation. Change it. If you want to apply enterprise risk management, first thing, have good clear-cut policies, procedures, risk appetite statement, communicate that to the staff, and if they don't understand, properly consult them and make them understand. Establish the context. What are your internal risk sources? What are the external risk sources? Right? So what are the parameters we have to look out for that need to be properly set, and the scope need to be properly identified. So some of the external parameters are like government policies, how it might affect us. The pandemic like this, how it might affect. Internal parameters are internal context parameters are the vision, mission, the board, what they want, and also get a good understanding about what are the internal parameters, what are the external parameters. So then only you know what is a risk. If I don't understand what is my internal and external parameters, I really don't know how to identify a risk, right? So unless otherwise I know my position in a environment, then only I know, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. If I don't know the environment, whatever I do sounds a good thing to do. So that's why the next part is establish your context. Who are you? What is your business? What is your internal factors affecting your business? What are the external factors affecting your business? Get a good understanding. There are a lot of business models you can do to do this. SWOT is there, pestle is there, right? The sort and pestle you would have learned in ACCA courses, those are not there to learn your advanced business papers and pass the papers. No, those are there to use in your business. So once you do that, only you really understand where you are right now. Then establish the risk criteria, risk appetite statements, right? So these are the things I will accept, these are the things I will not accept. If a risk is there above X amount is a risk for me, below that, if it happens, not a risk for me. For example, a simple thing, if I'm, because of a project, I'm going to lose 10% of my budgeted revenue, I'm okay with that. If I'm going to lose more than 15%, I'm not okay with that. That's what we call defining a criteria, right? If you look at the factories, the criteria are simply defined. So for example, if I take a factory which manufactures vitamin C, we should not manufacture a tablet which will kill a human. So we have to take all the precautions to avoid a human getting affected. Some factories have policy, 0 accidents. I'm against that because it's impossible to have 0 accidents. But if you have 0 accidents policy, what happens? You will do everything to avoid the accidents. So it's important for you to design your risk criteria. This is what I really want. So, so if you don't define it, how are you going to identify something as a risk? For example, if I don't define the criteria for accident, say for example, I say I don't have a criteria to define an accident. Whatever accident happen, I may have to panic. Whatever accident, or sometimes whatever big accident happens, still I may not panic because I have not defined my criteria properly. So once your risk criteria is done and your risk parameters are established, start doing the risk assessment. So you have the risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation. Risk identification, the most important thing which will help you to identify the risk. So these are the few techniques which are available to identify the risk. I'll tell you a small case, like I forgot which airline this is, but maybe it's a practice for all the airlines, because you know airlines are a risky business. So after passengers board and after everything is closed and after the airline is ready for the travel, captain calls all the staff and asks one question: have we missed anything? Have we missed anything which can create a problem to the flight in the middle of the air? You see, that's risk management. That's a risk identification technique. Every Monday morning meeting, when you're having with your department or when you're having with your whole organization, ask, what are the key risks we are going to face this week? What are the key risks we are going to face in a 3 months time? What are the key risks we are going to face in a 1 year's time? Don't ask for grey rhinos, because grey rhinos are there already. We should be there in the economic forum, and you may not know. Okay, sorry, ask for grey rhinos as well. But ask from the people, so they will be able to come and tell you the risk. If you ask, they may not tell you, but they at least think. So whenever they do something, they think about the risk. It becomes a culture to identify a risk. Once you identify the risk, you are supposed to analyze the risk. The best way of, or the world famous way of analyzing the risk is analyzing the impact likelihood. So that has been in practice for the last 20-25 years. So we may have to change it in the future, but no better models available right now. So this is a way to assess a risk. For example, if I take, because of accident, like your design. So if you look at here, accident, say I'm okay up to moderate level accidents. That means if an accident happen, you can see an accident happen, and if there's an injury in my factory, if there's a minor injury and it needs only a outpatient treatment for the person injured, I'm okay with that. What I don't want is a major accident which can create a major impact, which can create extensive bodily injury or hospitalization. I don't know. So I do everything to avoid whatever a major accident. I don't do things to avoid maybe minor accidents or incidental accidents. If that happens, I'm okay with it. I don't have a big problem with that. Say for example, media attention, I'm okay with one of newspaper article somewhere here, right? So this one, I'm okay with that. But if media is going to write about something happened in my company for continuously for 3 days, 4 days, I'm not okay with that. So that's what we call the risk criteria. So using the impact, you can establish the risk criteria, and whenever risk happens, you can look at it and monitor where you are. Is it an extraordinary impact or a moderate impact or insignificant impact? The next one is the likelihood analysis. Personally, I'm against analyzing likelihood because it's a waste of time from my point of view, right? The risk practitioners may tell a different story, but for me, if you see a risk, take action, address it. Don't think it may happen, it will happen. We don't know. It's very difficult to sit and predict probability. There are so many theories, there are so many models to predict probability, but actually it's very, very difficult to predict anything in this world. It's very difficult to predict the probability. So if you want, try to have a very basic calculation around it, but if you sit and do a big mathematical model to predict what's going to happen in the future, you are really wasting your time. So once you are done with your risk criteria, you may develop a risk grid. So this is called risk heat map. So this will give you a picture where your major problems are, or what are your major problems. So if something, now you see the amber color, this color and this color, unacceptable risk. So the organization doesn't want anything happening in this region. So whatever here, they want to bring it down. So this is what we call their risk appetite statement. So establish a risk appetite statement and monitor. Risk evaluation, close to this. You can't take action for every risk what you identify. Unacceptable risk need to be addressed. Acceptable risk, don't take any action. Just accept it, and or maybe convert that into an opportunity. Risk eval. There's a risk register. All the key risks you have identifying, the important risk, I record that in a risk register. A simple risk register, like this is my risk, this is the impact, this is the likelihood, what am I doing about it? And if I do that, will the risk reduce or still it will remain high? Right? That's your risk register. So I have given you a format here, so you can implement your own format, or you can think about a different format. Generally, a very comprehensive risk register will have all these columns, but frankly, even I don't use it. I have only a risk register with around 5-6 columns. If I really want to assess a risk, I use all these columns. But other than that, generally I will only stick to 3-4 columns if I'm talking to a business to identify their risk. Then once you do with that, you can do the risk treatment. You can accept the risk. Don't do anything. You take it. Okay, something like okay, I heard something like country like Brazil and Sweden. Okay, the risk is very high. We take it. We will go for herd immunity, COVID-19. Countries like Sri Lanka, let's avoid at any cost. So we put a curfew and all. Some countries transfer. Okay, you can't transfer COVID-19. You have to anyhow take it. You can transfer, you can accept, you can avoid, you can reduce. So you take some measures to reduce the risk what you are facing. So risk treatment options. So this same as earlier. The risk reporting tool, report. If you identify a risk and it's going to hit you, if you identify a risk, always report it. Generally, at least once a quarter, report to the board. Once a month, report to the management teams the key risk. If you see a risk which is going to hit you next week, immediately report it. Put a risk alert. Mobilize people to do it. Bring a culture of proactiveness by reporting the risk. So you can, as I told, you can be reporting the management board meetings and all. You can report and monitoring and review. Once in a while, call your internal audit department or someone and ask, give the ERM framework or maybe the ISO 31000. Am I complying with this? Can you audit and tell me? So they will tell you, okay, these are the areas you have to improve, these are the areas you are good, these are the areas you are bad. They might tell you, then based on that you can improve further. So once you do all these, the ERM approach, the ERM framework, once you have implemented in your department and in your organization, you become a rhino keeper, a person who keep the rhino, person who spot the rhino, keep the rhino, and develop, get some opportunities out of the rhino if you have the good ERM approach. And your organization will be in a way to become anti-fragile, who grow when there's a disorder, when there's a problem. If you bring the culture of proactiveness, bring the culture of identifying the risk and acting upon it, bring the culture of reporting, not keeping the risk at home or in your files, reporting it to others. If you bring all these, your organization will become anti-fragile, and the organization will become much stronger, bigger, and better. Even you will become much stronger, bigger, and better. So that's all from me. Nizam, shall we look at the questions? If there's a question, sorry. Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. So I'm going to ask our audience to type in their questions. So for now, we have a question from Rohil Raj, and he is asking, hello, Prasanna. Some companies implement ERP for compliance purposes, but do not continue with it to ensure mitigation of risk occurrence or its impact, since most personnel think it's a waste of time, or they don't consider it as value for money. So as per your experience, what are the factors or variables which resist the companies or their leadership in implementing continuing ERM exercise on a timely basis? What are the factors and variables which companies should take to make ERM an effective and efficient exercise?
Okay. So if the ERM is correctly implemented, the ERM will ensure the success of the organization. The organization doesn't have to ensure the success of ERM. On the other side, you are very much right, because you see, these are thankless jobs. You identify a risk, and you see, in this world, heroes are always celebrated. The risk managers never celebrated. I'll give you an example. Like if you take a building, you are the risk manager of the building. Every day you conduct, or every week you conduct a fire inspection, and you basically identify the loopholes which can create a fire in the building, and you take steps to mitigate it. As a result, never a fire occurred in that building. Will somebody will call you and give you an award for that? Hey, because of you the fire did not happen? No, nobody will give you an award for that. On the other side, let's say a fire happened and there was a kid who was trapped in the 7th floor, and some firefighter or somebody went there and rescued the kid and came. He will be a celebrated person. He will be a celebrity in no time, right? So first of all, when you are implementing an ERM, you have to, personally, you have to understand and accept the fact that it's a thankless work, right? The people may not realize the benefit of it, because you are fixing everything, so the benefits are not, they can't see the benefit. However, if you want to implement a good ERM program, the key features is, like, from my personal experience, there are many ways, but from my personal experience, as I told in the presentation also, start from the top. Let the board talk. In the board meeting, let them discuss about the risk. Create a culture where in the board talks about the risk, right? I'm pretty sure board will be already talking about the risk, and if you tell them risk management has to be a part of the agenda of the board meeting, any chairman of the board will be very happy to accommodate it, because that's what their job is about. So if you establish at the board and the board start discussing the risk, then and the board understand the importance of the risk, implementing the ERM in the SBUs or the departments or the divisions will become much easier, because there's a pull from the board. So look from that perspective. That is one. And the other one, as I told, like, if you can't reach the board, or if you are okay with the board or something like that, don't try to implement ERM in the whole organization. Identify the riskiest organization. Tell your board, tell your department heads, it's a 1-year project, and do a full risk audit and identify the key risk and identify the problems in their enterprise risk management. Put all the controls and put all the necessary mechanisms and all. Identify a very good KRI which can monitor key risk indicator, right? For example, number of accidents, for example, number of accidents, or number of times low quality product reach the customer or something like that. The negative items, identify them, establish them, measure them at the start of the year, start of the project. Do the project for 1 year, step by step improve, continuously monitor your KRI. Once the year is over, compare with your last year and this year results. You should see a good improvement there. Publish it, right? Say, if you don't make noise, nobody will listen to you, right? So publish it, right? Tell that to the board, tell that to the company. So you see, you have to be more passionate about implementing the ERM, and you have to talk about it. So once you do that, there's a chance that definitely the people will see the benefit which is coming out of the ERM practices. But again, it's a thankless job. Hope I answered your question.
Thank you. We have another question by Muinul Islam. Most of the companies are not practice good ERM approach regularly. Do you think after COVID-19 it will change the top management minds heavily? And he further goes on top of that, our top management will be more focused on business continuity plan.
Okay, so as at right now, so we are, you see that the as at right now, we believe we are in fire. So since we are in fire, everybody is doing firefighting right now, right? So everybody, because I'm more worried about for South Asia. For some reason, the entire South Asian region is not so much affected by the COVID-19 so far in terms of health side, but when it comes to the economic disaster is big. So every company is doing firefighting, and it's perfect for the companies to look at business continuity at this moment. It's important, right? But the problem is, if you don't have the ERM practice, this economic depression and the COVID-19 problems are going to trigger many other problems. So if you don't have a practice of ERM, you may not think about it. So then it's about back to back, it's about focusing on business continuity and firefighting. If you have a strong ERM practice, looking at the future, identifying the problem, getting prepared for the problems will become your normal practice. So will businesses, will the business leaders focus on ERM? Now I'm a member of Institute of Risk Management of UK, and they have conducted a survey, and as per the survey, most of the CEOs, they have answered risk management is going to be one of the key priority for the future, because of the problems, the different types of problems they face. So I can't vouch for all the business leaders, but from the quoting from the research, most business leaders have understood the risk management is going to be more important in the coming couple of years to navigate this turbulence environment back to back we are facing. Yeah. Do we have any more question, Nizam?
Yes, sure. Thistle Vincent, is the risk grid and matrix the same? What are the main contents in a risk appetite statement?
Okay, risk grid and risk map both are same, so don't worry about that. The different names we give, risk grid, risk map, risk heat map, all are same. So you can use the 2x2. I showed you a 3x3. There are 4x4, 5x4 models. You can use it. The risk community is doing a lot of research on creating better risk visualization models. 3D models and all are available. Some people are trying to bring time in terms of likelihood, impact, time also they are trying to bring as a third dimension, and to create a different type of risk heat map. They're trying, but those are still in research, nothing out up to now. The other question what you asked is, yeah, sorry Nizam, like the second part of the question, can you
yeah, sure. The contents in risk appetite statement.
Risk appetite statement. So risk appetite statement is, what is the maximum I'm going to accept as a risk. So risk appetite statement, it's about, if you take a factory, I don't want any accident which will create an injury which will result in a employee receiving inpatient treatment, right? So that's my risk appetite statement for a factory. So a key points in risk appetite statement is, it's about what should not happen, what is not accepted here. So why it is important? Because it will make sure that we are designing the whole process in a way that particular risk will never happen. So the risk which I don't want to happen will come in your risk appetite statement. So in other way, the maximum risk I want to take is what you call the risk appetite statement. So the key factors try to include is like see in a department or in a department, it's an easy way. Like there are many ways of writing risk appetite statement. The shortcut or easy way, or for a beginner, what we can do is, for a department or a factory or a division, what are the things which should not happen here? That's my risk appetite statement. So at any cost, these things should not happen. Then I can go and develop my whole procedure to avoid these things happening. So list down few things which should not happen in your company, which should not happen in your department, and keep that as, for the moment, the risk appetite statement. See, you can fine tune the processes a little bit based on that. While you are working on that, you will understand, okay, this is what I don't want happen here, or up to this only things should happen here. Then you are in the process of developing a risk appetite statement which you really understand and practice. Okay, now next one is
he's further asking if the following statement is true and correct. The risk grid. Yeah, he's further asking. He wants you to comment on the following. The risk grid and the appetite should focus on the residual risk. So
no, not like that. You see, it's like this. Residual risk is, it's a different concept, like risk appetite and the residual risk and all, right? It's like residual risk is like this. Now I'm exposed to a particular risk, right? I'm exposed to a particular risk. So I want to avoid. what I want to avoid, how can I say is, okay, take this example. I'm riding a motorbike. I'm riding a motorbike with a skinny and shorts and what do you call, no gloves, nothing, with the slippers. I'm riding a motorbike and I'm going at 150 kilometers per hour speed. So I'm facing a lot of risk there, right? I can get hit, I can die. So I start reducing my risk by putting controls or measures, by wearing a helmet, wearing a gloves, we're putting a proper gear, and reducing the speed to 60 or 50 kilometers per hour. I'm reducing it. So now after I'm implementing all the controls I have, whatever left out is my residual risk. So my residual risk has become, after I put all these controls, balance is my residual risk. The residual risk can be within your risk appetite statement, or it may be sometimes above your risk appetite statement. So after you put your controls, still your risk appetite, residual risk is above your risk appetite statement, means that operation may not be feasible for you. So you can look at the residual risk, and you can once you look at the residual risk, and when you compare that with the risk appetite statement, or you may identify whether that operation is feasible or not feasible. That's a link. Like risk bit is anyhow, it's a visualization of all the risks what you are facing.
All right, thank you. Kausar Alam saying excellent presentation, very articulate here, Mr. Prasanna. A question from his side: how can we make top tier management better understand about ERM?
You can see there are many ways you can do that. One thing which I did in one of my previous company was like this. There was a board meeting, and my company had started recently a hospital, and they appointed me as the, actually I was appointed as an internal auditor there, right? So what I did was, and they are new to hospital industry, so unfortunately at that time in Kolkata there was a fire in the hospitals. So there are around 70 odd people died by getting caught in that fire, and on the YouTube and all the videos were available. So I wanted to implement this ERM, because even though I was doing internal audit, I wanted to get this concept of ERM communicated to them. So I asked for a time in a board meeting, a board subcommittee meeting, right, which consists of all the external executive directors, no external directors, but all no independent directors, but only the executive directors. I asked for a time with them to just 30 minutes to take an idea. So they gave me 45 minutes. In that 45 minutes, 15 minutes, for 5 minutes, I put those videos. There are people burning in the hospital, people. So what happened was, like, there was a delay in ambulance coming, the fire brigade coming. When the fire brigade came, they forgot the breathing equipment, so they had to go back and come. So like that, there are a lot of problems, and the fire seems to be started because somebody smoked a cigarette and put that in the basement, and in the basement they have stored a lot of flammable items. So then the fire started and the entire hospital burned. And guess who got arrested? The board of directors. So I put this video with my board, and I for the executive directors, and I told them, and then they listened to me. They said, okay, fine, we don't want this to happen in our hospital what we are building. Do whatever you want to prevent these things happening. Let's roll out an ERM practice. So from the day we started our ERM practice, we started in the place the ERM practice. So see, if you're a risk practitioner, you have to have good communication, influential, and presentation skills to make people understand the risk, right? That is your job. Say I mean, last time when I did a session like this, one of the doubt came was like, they gave me an industry. Once one person asked, in the particular in the aviation industry, what are the key risks you are predicting? Hey, I'm not an astrologer, right? If you want to predict what is going to happen in the future, go and ask from an astrologer. Don't come to a risk manager. The risk manager is not a future risk. Risk manager is not an astrologer. Risk manager is a person who prepare an organization to face a disaster. So for me to prepare the organization to make a disaster, I have to create some illustrations, presentations. I have to make them feel there's a problem. So it all depends on how you are presenting, how you are communicating, how you are influencing, right? And just I'll tell you one more thing, like in your organization, no need to have one more person as a risk manager. If you're an ACCA member or a student, you can be the risk manager for your organization. If you're working in the finance department, you can take that role up and you can practice. And in this current situation, that role is very much valuable. So anyhow, present them, talk to them, influence them, and make them understand it's a big problem. Definitely they will understand, right?
Thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
We have Mohammed Isaac questioning. Hi, greetings. My question is, in short, every company have existing and post-COVID risk. What to prioritize, post-COVID-19 or existing, or how to handle mix of risks? Just a short note answer on this.
Okay. So this is what I told, like, don't ask me what are the key risks we are going to face, because that's not my job. That's a job, that's something you have to ask from your neighborhood astrologer. But to answer your question, like, it's depend on the industry. If you are working and different industries are going to get affected in different ways, right? If you are in a travel and airlines industry, you are not going to see a flight or the tourism coming back to your country, or people traveling frequently in the flights, at least until December. So it's going to be a problem. If you are going to have a restaurant, the revenue. If you are having big credit operations, or banks or whatever, your customers not paying you on time. So, and that depends on the region as well. So what's going to happen in Lahore, or what's going to happen in Karachi or Kerala or in Sri Lanka or in Dubai, that depends on the country, because it has to be, it is more relevant to the region rather than the global response. So I may not be able to answer exactly, but maybe if you can send me or email me your industry and your location, I may be able to look do some research, and I can let you know, like, what are the key risks which might affect. It's very difficult to answer in a negative.
All right.
Yeah.
So risk identification, a vital step.
Yes.
So we have Prem Kumar asking, what strategies can be used to implement action plan, mitigate risks?
If you have identified a risk, and if you have spoken with management and or as a team, you'll have identified these are the actions you're going to take, then it's up to you have to take the appropriate action. So what we can do to implement an action, what strategy we can do to implement an action, is basically continuous follow-up. And if people are not taking the right steps, remind them continuously. Even after reminding, if they are not taking the right step, name and shame them. So maybe through continuous monitoring, continuous discussions, continuously making them understand if they don't take the right actions, what can go wrong. Through these things only you can basically make people take appropriate strategies.
Right. So if so in ECC office we have this earthquake drills and firearm drills where the alarm goes off and everyone is expected to get out of the building right then and there. So that's one way of strategy implementation.
Yeah.
So Thistle, Vincent, thank you, Prasanna, great presentation. Mohammed Ishaq, if you are okay. Suhail Zahoor, thank you so much for your effort and time. My question is it feasible to create a financial provision for similar risks that we are facing right now? Though I believe insurance products will evolve after this.
The financial provision will not save you from the risk. So it's about creating a war chest or creating some sort of setting aside of I think for the future risk you're asking, no? So it's about you can keep a money away, but as I told, for a black swan, it's always good to keep a war chest, keep some provision and make some money and all. Yes, but for something like a gray rhino, if you're going to make a provision and keep some money to meet gray rhino, it's not going to work. For the gray, something like COVID-19 and all, it needs preparation. It's just keeping in a saving some money and keeping will not work. But of course, if you want to, if suddenly something happens, like a black swan event happens, to face that, yes, you may need. It may be a good idea to make a provision. But again, as you told, yes, insurance is there, so you can make insurance provisions or keep some extra money, and to see how the problem is going to face, how to face the problem. I hope I answered your question there.
Okay, thank you. So seems like these are all the questions from over 160 attendants for today. Suhail Zahoor says thanks a lot. Thank you, Zahoor. Right, so thank you so much, Prasanna Balachandra, for this great session. I hope I learned a lot. Hope my fellow attendees all over the globe also have received something very important out of this. Thank you so much for your time and for this session.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
So till next time, stay safe, stay home, and take care. I'll be logging out now, and thank you so much for your time, sir. Have a good day. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.